everybody, this is City Scrapper. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today I'm creating a layout by using distress oxides and my dauber on the background. And I was inspired to make this background by Vicki Boutin. This past weekend I was lucky enough to take part in an online seminar called the Scrap Smarter Experience, and she was one of the presenters. And she made a background using inks and daubers, and it inspired me to do the same. So I'm using my distress oxides, and I am making a diagonal line down the page in rainbow order. I use a little bit of yellow under the orange just to lighten it up a little bit to go with the collection that I plan on using. I'm going to be using Simple Stories Summer Paradise pattern paper. And I picked out these particular colors to go with the colors that were in that collection, which you'll see in a little bit. You can see some of the distress oxides, but I'll just mention that I used candied apple for the red, I used carved pumpkin for the orange, squeezed lemonade for the yellow, lucky clover for green, peacock feathers for blue, faded jeans for indigo, and wilted violet for the violet. And I'm trying to get a lot of color down. While I was watching Vicki Boutin's seminar or her class, I made another one of these, or I made the first one, I should say, and I didn't put enough color down, or at least not as much pigment as I wanted there to be. So I'm making sure that I apply a lot of pigment this time. The stencil is an Americana stencil called Split Angles. And the stencil is a 12 by 12 inch stencil, but I'm only using the design on half of the stencil. And it would be even easier if it was a 12 by 12 inch stencil, but that had the same pattern on the whole thing. In this particular case, I'm generally happy that those two different patterns are on there, but it ended up working out just fine. And once I was done, I just went up to that corner, the upper left-hand corner, and put a little more red and orange down just to kind of even it out and make it balanced with the other corner. So now that I have all my colors down, I am going to use my spray bottle. I just took out the nozzle and I had a piece of paper towel, and I just splattered some water on there and lifted up the color with a piece of paper towel. And I did not mention that I used white gesso on the background first. White gesso and clear gesso seem to produce different results, in my opinion anyway, and I feel like when I use distress oxides, when there is white gesso, I can pick up or lift off the color a little more easily. Now that I have used sprinkled water, I am taking a little bit of each color and going back in there and splattering, trying to stay in the area where each color is, but it doesn't matter. I don't mind if the splatters go a little off. And in the case of the green, which splattered a lot onto the yellow and I didn't want all that green on there, I just immediately dabbed it up with my paper towel and it worked out fine. So I'm just going in there with each color and adding a decent number of splatters to each of the colors. I found this beautiful rainbow paper, and I of course gutted it because I want to use it on other projects. And you can see that I picked out those particular ink pad colors to try to match the colors that are on this pattern paper. So now that I have my background mounted and I've selected my two photos, these are two 4x4 photos of my younger daughter at a beach in Cape Cod. This picture is from about 5 years ago. I'm definitely behind in my scrapbooking. And I really liked that diagonal multicolored paper, and I use that behind each of my photos, and I mounted the photos on two different colors, one more of the warm yellow and the other one the cool blue or turquoise. And I offset the pictures slightly from that striped piece of paper on the background. And I generally use my ATG to attach paper. I love my ATG gun, even though it malfunctions and isn't always perfect. I really like the way the adhesive holds really well, but is generally repositionable. So now I'm just backing each of my photos with some fun foam, and in this case I'm trying to use up some scraps before I dig into the larger pieces. And I ended up being pretty happy with this technique. I've never tried using distress oxides through a stencil like this before, and I really like this idea. It was super easy to do, and it really didn't take long, and the distress oxide colors are so beautiful that it made such a colorful background, and it's definitely a technique that I would like to try again. And I know I'm a little late to the party on this particular technique, but I'm really glad that I gave it a try. So now I'm trying all different embellishments. This is, I don't know if they're still making them. This was a simple story set that they made a few years back where they just made a couple of pieces of paper and 2 sticker sheets. One was like an alpha sheet with phrases, and the other was all images, or for the most part images. And I don't think there were any other embellishments available, but there was plenty for me on those 2 sticker sheets to use on this page. So that word summer was already on the sticker sheet, and I'm just centering it now in that area that it was in. Those sunglasses are a sticker. I believe I went back at some point and I did cut off the white border that's around the sticker. So now I am just going through, just trying to add to the title. They had these great blue letters that were part of one of the sticker sheets, and I'm adding those, so we'll say Summer Escape. And then I go back and try to add some other embellishments around. I did use a lot of phrase stickers, and I saw Allison Davis put a little fishtail on the end of one of them on one of her videos, so I did the same. And I'm moving around that beach ball. I wanted to have the umbrella and the beach ball on the 2 different pictures, so I would spread out the rainbow. So there, so those 2 embellishments on the same picture might be a little overwhelming. So I have one on one on the other, and I'm just looking for some other embellishments to add. So I have that little shovel and moving those phrases around. I do quite a bit of moving around, and I will let you know that I do move things around after I'm done with the layout or in between filming, or I can't resist moving things around. And a layout sometimes will get changed the next day. I don't keep going back to my layouts, but sometimes the next day I find that when I look at a layout, something that isn't quite balanced will pop right off the page, and I might not have noticed it when I was making the page, but the next day it'll become clear. Kind of like when you edit something that you write, the next day the errors seem more obvious than they do when you're writing it on that same day. So I will let you know that the next day that blue heart and the 2 phrase stickers get moved to the center. And I had added some extra blue under the photo, and I didn't end up loving that, but I ended up covering it up with the stickers, which I moved to the right, and a tiny bit of gesso. And you'll see that in the close-ups if you look carefully. It's not super important, but I do want to tell you everything that I do on the layout. So when I was adding the embellishments to around the photos, I wanted to use all the colors. Now that I am adding some enamel dots to the background, I am using tone on tone, and I'm putting 3 dots. I'm trying to put dots that match well with the colors that are there, and I'm trying to put 3 different sizes if I have them for each of the colors. I did end up putting, I think, an extra of the blue ones because I do have a lot of blue area there. I had a little pack of, or I had 2 little packs, I believe, of puffy stickers, and those are the only other embellishments that I use on the page. I wanted to have some different dimension. I didn't just want everything to be paper. I had some enamel dots, but I thought that the puffy stickers would add a little bit more variety to the embellishments. And I'm also adding some photo corners that I cut out, or I should say I punched out using my corner punch. And now I'm just gluing all of my little puffy stickers down. They stick, but sometimes I find that they will fall off later on when I have them in my photo sleeves. And now I'm just adding some journaling to that sun. And that's the layout. Thank you so much for watching. I hope if you like this video, you'll give me a thumbs up and you'll consider subscribing to my channel. Thank you so much to my current subscribers. I hope everybody has a fantastic day, and I will see all of you again soon. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.